and his musical influences.
He was actually talking. So I was watching the interview that he had about the album, and I found it really interesting how he was talking about how he was writing and had actually finished writing the whole and composing and just finished the whole album in the middle of the tour, like in the middle of the Fine Lines tour. And he was like, I found it kind of interesting and sort of difficult to kind of go through the motions of singing this Fine Lines album when I was already in the headspace of this new album.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was really interesting to see. And he's like, but the thing was, it's like for the people who were in the Fine Lines tour, like who went to the Fine Lines tour, he was like, I'm kind of paraphrasing his words, but he was like, I understand that this album was with people throughout some very interesting times. And it's like, in this album, when you hear Adore You, when you hear Sign of the Times, you don't just think, oh, this album came out maybe a month or two ago and now I'm going to go watch the tour. No, this album came out 2 years ago and I've been listening to it religiously, getting through some tough times. Yeah. So he's like, when people were there singing Sign of the Times, people were like feeling Sign of the Times.
That's how it was in the Houston concert. Like,
yes,
Brenda and I,
especially because it got rescheduled.
That was gonna say, Brenda
amazing.
and I got tickets at our college apartment, like when we still lived and you know, we had that shared room. I remember we like met up. I don't know if that day, I think there was class. I think we met up like right before class and we were like, all right, we're getting on fucking line. We're getting in the queue. We got tickets like the day of, like as soon as tickets went through, we put it on my credit card. I still have not recovered from that. And that is not a joke. And we literally waited 2 fucking years, and then they rescheduled the first tour because the first one for COVID.
Yeah, and the second
and
one
we were like, oh my God, can you believe that we're gonna see, like finally after a fucking year, we're gonna see him like in like a month. And then they rescheduled it again, and we were like, what the fuck are you fucking talking about?
Yeah.
So when we went to the concert, like it was the most insane fucking energy. Like I love going to concerts, and honestly, every time I go to a concert, I'm like, that was my favorite fucking concert ever. Like, because it's always just such a good fucking experience. But I like every fucking song hit so fucking, and everybody was losing their shit because it was like this anticipation, this like build up.
So I have never really gone to concerts. Like the Harry Styles concert was actually the first concert I had been to in years, and I mean like probably 10 to 13 years, probably more than that. And I was, one, losing my shit, and then two, now that I've literally gone to like 2 to 3 concerts every single month ever since the year started. And I noticed that like at the Harry concert, I was in nosebleeds. Like I wasn't nowhere.
Oh my God, I was so close. Brenda and I walked up to our seats and we were like,
I was literally nowhere, and nowhere was it known to me or anybody else around me, apparently, that, you know, it's probably like not usually where people just stand up and start jumping and bouncing and shit on nosebleed sections, right?
At a Harry Styles concert,
but people were wilding.
I kid you not a single person was sitting down on the nosebleeds. We were all jumping around, and I will say this, even at my latest concert, which was at the Coldplay concert at the NRG, there were people sitting the fuck down, chilling, doing their thing.
Because there's old people that go see Coldplay.
That's true. Yeah, it was also a way bigger venue, so like it makes sense that there's gonna be people who are gonna sit down.
That's why they
stop.
I don't know. Whatever.
I mean, you're not wrong.
I like love Coldplay, but it was so interesting to see how much, and then comparing it to like just how the energy was. Everybody knew every single song. All of us were going
We had
wild.
2 years to learn the fucking lyrics.
Sunflower came on and people were fucking wilding the fuck out. Like it was just crazy.
That's cool. But that's great. That's great.
To be fair, though,
so good.
It really works for him.
Whenever I went to his first album, like his first tour, we literally got $25 like nose, and like when I'm saying we were in the like there was nobody above us. Like we were in the last fucking seat. It wasn't even actual seats. It was like folding chairs. I'm not even fucking kidding. And we didn't sat down the entire time. Like he's also just like a phenomenal fucking performer. Yeah. Like his stage presence is fucking, that's what I mean. And I feel like I always compare it to like people like Freddie Mercury and Elton John and like all that shit, because I grew up with like parents that were really really into like
that kind
those
of stuff,
kind of like, you know, just like icons that just, they were like, hey, this person changed like music. They changed the music industry. So I grew up, you know, like looking at like Michael Jackson and my dad being so like, you don't understand what the fuck this presence, was. You know what I mean? Like
just nobody,
them talking about artists like that and getting like, I think of like Lady Gaga, somebody like that. You know what I mean? Like Beyonce. Somebody who like absolutely changed like the music industry. Beyonce, who like changed the way that like
that Coachella performance for Beyonce, forget about it. Fucking insane.
But I've never gotten to see them live. You know what I mean? So it's a very like surreal idea. So surreal. Like I think about watching Lady Gaga live, and it doesn't feel real that I like exist in the same. At the same time,
like breathing the same air
I saw Beyonce
so when I see Harry Styles
on the Run tour, and
I can't fucking imagine.
It was crazy.
But so then Harry Styles has been an artist that like I've been following since I was 14. I've seen live at every tour he's had. He's only had 2, but you know, like,
and we're gonna camp out for them Austin tickets.
Yeah, and we're going to see him in fucking September. Like Brenda and I were talking about it, and every time I'm like, Harry Styles might be that one fucking artist. You know, like how your parents were like, yeah, I saw this person like every tour they had. Yeah, like that might, like, I'm literally probably gonna be fucking 50 years old and being like, I saw every fucking Harry Styles tour. Yeah, because I like, it's like I was alive during that time, but it's so like wild to like go to a concert of his and be like I can't fucking believe that I'm witnessing this right now. Like I can't believe that I am alive for this like right now. Like there's a lot of good fucking artists right like out there, which I think it's amazing. Like I honestly feel like I could say that about a lot of other artists, but it's so surreal when you're there and you see them live and you're like, oh, this is a real thing.
You get like almost like mesmerized. And I'm not one that I think, even with the people that I have like specific artists that are like very, very like monumental to my life particularly, that they're big artists and they're not by any means small artists, but like I wouldn't say that I would get flustered or anything like that around an artist. If I were to meet them in real life, I would they're just a person, so it's like not really all that crazy, but their presence and in what like your life has become and like their concerts and all that stuff like that, it's fucking insane. Like Harry, like I really has figured out how to.
I remember because we waited 2 fucking years for the Fine Line tour, and you know, like I don't listen to music now the way maybe that I did. Like again, because I've been obsessed with him since I was like 14. It's very different when I was 14 and I was like a fangirl, and now I'm like, oh my god, I love him and like I love his music and stuff like that. But I like on a normal like day, like I'm not thinking about like I'm a Harry stan or what. Like it's not part of my lifestyle. But I walked into that venue and I was like this man has me by a fucking chokehold. Like the way that I lost my fucking shit, because I was like
you lose all sense of composure whenever you're actually in the presence, like quote unquote presence, that's what I mean, of somebody that has actually, especially because like you like were being now 23, so.
You're like, why do I still feel this way? Like what's that? Like I didn't think I would be freaking out about people like this, you know.
Like, honestly though, like okay, as somebody who is a fan, like you, like a fangirl through and through, I was a fangirl. I've loved boy bands since forever. Like I was Jonas Brothers, One Direction, Big Time Rush. Like I know this sounds like super Gen Z, but like I would bark for Harry Styles, like woof woof, literally. Like who doesn't love Harry Styles? Being at the Harry Styles concert was like really fun. Like honestly, I've never actually been to a Harry Styles concert before. I wasn't actually that big of a fan of Harry Styles before. Not that I didn't stan him, not that I wasn't like, yo, Harry, anytime, backstage, baby, all the time, in One Direction, but I got the tickets like just solely randomly, and I was like, fuck it up, let's go. I didn't even know they were resale tickets. God knows how much I paid for them. I'm sure it was a lot of money for nosebleeds, but like he did a really good job at he did a good job at performing. We love a performance. We love an androgynous king. We all showed up looking like we deserve to be his girlfriend, theoretically, although it could never like amount to Olivia Wilde, but whatever. I think that's like the one acceptable choice to just like let Harry go for, because it's Olivia Wilde. Like, okay. I've been that girl that was like, I was that crazy girl, quote unquote crazy 100%. Girl at school. There was like, oh, she's the one like Jonas Brothers. 100%. So naturally, everybody that knows me was not surprised when I was like, oh, you like K-pop? Yeah, that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so like, it's just boy bands in Korean. So it's like, to me, the idea of like trying to make sure that people don't see me as a crazed fangirl is crazy, because it's like the minute you are in front of, the minute I'm in front, or I was at the Harry Styles concert, I was like, you know what? All that sense of like repressed fangirl motion, because I don't want people to be like, oh, you're that girl. It's like, yes, I am that girl. But like the minute you're there, it's like, I'm that girl times 1,000, baby. Because it's like overwhelming how much you're just like,
well, I give him props. I give him props because I know that as like, it's so hard as a boy band. It's so easy to just fall off after you get the machine, after the machine stops helping you or whatever, like just the industry or the, you know. So it's probably, maybe you could make the argument that it's probably harder to have a successful career out after a boy band career, as opposed to like brand new, fresh. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
I would say so.
You could probably make that argument. I wouldn't be mad if somebody was like, yo, that's real. But it's also a very exciting thing to see, because then you get to like watch them really defy the odds and like and then turn into whoever they're going to turn into. You know what I mean? Because at least on my outside looking in, definitely not that perspective. But like, I heard his first album, I didn't really care for it, and then I heard his second album, and I was like, okay, I understand. I still think his best song is "She," and I don't think I don't think he's written it. Even on this new one, I was like, I'm really looking forward to see if he really puts another song like that together, and he hasn't. But it's also not like his stuff is bad, and I've like watched it in the same way with JT, like you watch him grow into like kind of like the kind of appreciation he has for certain music, and then you're like, I get where you're pulling from, and I appreciate that about you as an artist. And then with Harry is the same.